to the liberal arts options panel. This is, from what I understand, a first-year seminar class. So all of you here are liberal arts majors. And what we're going to present to you here today is that as liberal arts majors, you have some choices. So the degree that you're going to get when you graduate is the liberal arts, social sciences, and humanities degree, or if you're a math and sciences student, you will get a liberal arts, math, and sciences degree. And in addition to that, you have the choice of choosing an area to concentrate in. So you're still within the liberal arts, but let's say you think, oh, I might be interested in this topic, but I'm not sure. You have the choice as a liberal arts student to add a concentration, which at LaGuardia is called an option. And we have quite a few options. There's one that's missing. Applied math is also one. We have deaf studies, health humanities, ethnic studies, Latin American studies, history, political science, women, gender, and sexuality studies, journalism, international studies, Japanese, and TESOL, which stands for Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. So if you think that you might be interested in any of those subjects, you can add one of them to your liberal arts degree. Now, adding does not mean you have to take more credits. It's still just 60 credits. It's just an area that you're exploring. If you want to, you can continue that area when you pursue your bachelor's degree. If you decide you want to pursue something else, you can do that as well. Your degree is still a liberal arts degree. And so we actually have the program directors of these options here that are going to talk to you about their programs, and you can also ask questions. But before we do that, we have Dean Miller here, who is the head of the liberal arts major, who's going to say a few words to you.
If you could speak closer to the microphone.
How many words are there?
Anywhere around here.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Good morning. I'm so happy. Is it still morning? It's still morning. Good morning. I'm so happy to see you all here. I know you will learn a lot from listening to our faculty members present about their programs. You know, liberal arts is special, right? Being a liberal arts major is special. It's the only major where you almost get to design your own course of study. When I was in high school, I longed to go to college because I said, finally, I will get to choose what I want to study instead of being in high school where I get told, take this, that, and the other. And liberal arts is that type of college program that really allows you to explore what interests you, what excites you. And so I hope you will use this opportunity to hear about these great specializations that we have within our liberal arts program that will allow you to just dig a little deeper into some areas that might really spark your interest and curiosity. And to know that this is just a nice rounding out sort of learning that you can apply to any area that you decide to specialize in. Knowledge is never wasted, it's never lost. And in liberal arts, you get skills that will be applicable to whatever career, whatever path of study you choose. So I'm very happy to welcome you here. I'm happy you're part of the liberal arts major, and I'm sure you're going to get lots of great information from our panelists. So looking forward to listening in as well.
Thank you for coming, Dean Miller. Okay, we don't have a particular order in mind.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping?
Yeah, so this session is recorded. So, and if you ask questions, please keep in mind that your questions will be recorded as well. And also, we have a sign language interpreter. And we have to make sure only one person speaks at a time so that they can translate. No, not translate, I'm sorry, interpret. You know, if multiple people start talking, please just, remind people that one person at a time rule. Okay? And also, if you're online, I see only one student online, you can ask questions in the chat. Okay? So that's it.
Okay, so I think maybe we can do 2 people in person and 2 people online and 2 people in person. Okay, so anybody can start. Would you like to start? Just give your name, your program, and what you want to say.
Sure. Thanks, Maria. So my name is Anja Vojvodic. I'm the coordinator for political science, newly appointed. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of a background about political science. So political science is now more than ever an important field. If you take a look at current events or any kind of headline, you can see that politics very much matters. So from the war in Ukraine to increasing political polarization around the world, pressing political issues abound all around us. I want to note that we just had a recent midterm election, and we can also see how sadly divided our country is as well. So I think we need proactive people such as you and interested, engaged students to give us inventive ideas to try to solve these pressing global and political issues. So the students I have in my classes, and I teach global politics, by the way, they examine the above issues and other crucial issues such as literacy, refugees, migration, etc. They come to the field usually with a sense of curiosity and determination to find answers for these complex global questions and domestic questions. Political science students are generally critical thinkers and great problem solvers. They also are knowledgeable and they're open to hearing different perspectives, which is crucial, right? Because you don't want to be too set in your own ways. You want to always maintain curiosity. And students in our field are also ready to look at any issue from different points of view, right? And to engage it critically. So if you have any questions about political science, I also have a PhD in the field, or if you have any questions about the option, I'm happy to take them and to answer them. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. And we'll take questions at the end. So if you're listening to someone and there's something, you have a question, just jot it down or just hold it in your mind. And then at the end, you'll have an opportunity to ask. Professor.
Hi, my name is Monika Ekiert, and I represent an option that's called TESOL Linguistics. We added a second leg to the option. TESOL, as Maria said, stands for Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. If some of you are already taking a course required of liberal arts ELL 101 Introduction to Language this semester, then perhaps you have some introduction to the subject matter that our students specialize in. Who would be enrolling in TESOL Linguistics? Typically, it's students who are interested in teaching either in New York City in public schools and teaching students who are newly arrived to the country because of all the political turmoil that's happening right now. You may have seen your classmates in classes called English as a New Language. These are the students that we train. And the other group are students who are interested in going abroad and teaching. And usually what they teach is English. And this is a huge job market right now, everywhere. English is a global language, and whenever people look at your credentials, it turns out that being a native speaker of English, or actually a proficient speaker of English, is the skill that they are looking for, and they are offering you teaching jobs. It's not easy to teach. You need some training. And this is who this option is for.
This is Jennifer, the interpreter. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we lost some of the feed. Can't hear or see.
What did you say, Jen?
We've lost some of the feed. We can't really hear or see anything.
Maybe speak up. Try speaking.
Before it was clear, and now I can't really hear well.
Test. What about now?
That's better.
Sorry.
Could you tell us where the feed stopped? At which point, if you can remind me what I was saying, I will try to go back.
I think the last thing was about the job market globally, teaching globally.
Okay, you didn't lose much because after that I said that we have 2 partnerships with senior colleges at CUNY. One is Queen's College, where students taking courses in TESOL go to complete their bachelor's degree and get the initial certification to teach in New York City public schools, and then Lehman College in the Bronx, where students interested in linguistics or more theoretical part of the degree go to continue their studies.
Thank you so much. I think we can move to someone online.
Yes.
Professor Hernandez.
My name is Ana Maria Hernandez, and I am the Director of Latin American Studies. This option was created back in 1985 at the height of interest in Latin America, inspired by the Alliance for Progress of President Kennedy and President Lyndon Johnson. And the field has changed quite a bit since then. There is now, in addition to interest on history and literature, there is an interest in the visual and performance arts of Latin America, and especially on film, as elements that transmit culture. Our students transfer to Brooklyn College and John Jay for careers in public relations, for arts organizations, film festivals, and local art galleries or theater companies that focus on Latin America, either for cultural interest or for business. Our graduates have also pursued careers with the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs, or NISCA, the New York State Council on the Arts. Others who transferred to John Jay College of Criminal Justice have focused on immigration and law enforcement issues. But our recent focus, after we revised the option with a very generous grant, our third from the National Endowment for the Humanities, is in the arts and literary organizations, of which we have many at the local levels, but also at the international levels. Of course, how far you can go in the field relates to how far you go in the studies. Entry-level jobs in Latin American studies include community organizations, front people who organize the mechanics of art galleries, film festivals, etc., etc. If you have a master's degree, then you can go up that ladder in those same organizations and perform a more important role. If you decide to continue at the master's or especially the doctoral level, in Latin American studies, actually my degrees are in comparative literature. You can become a professor at an institution of higher education. So the important thing in our field is the connections that you make with people who are in the arts. You don't have to be an artist. It's the connections you make for arts administrations and the film festivals, the people you meet, and then, well, you know the rest. Everything is personal contacts and recommendations. So that's all. If you're interested, I have more information on the website. And oops, I forgot to put my timer, but I believe my 2 minutes are up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Hernandez. Who would like to go next from online? Professor Chen? Yes.
Hi, good afternoon now. So I'm Tao Chen from the Math Department. I'm the director of the liberal arts and applied math. So our options start in fall 2020. As you know, it's right during the pandemic. Currently, we have more than 30 students. We still allowed to have more students into our option. So applied math is a very disciplinary field. Basically, it's trying to use the math to solve the real world problem. In certain way, it's very broad. You could working on something as engineering or something as economics and finance. First of all, it's kind of like still be a STEM field. So we expect you be interested in math or you're interested in solving some problems. After you graduate from the LaGuardia, of course, there are many transfer opportunities there. But also we have the articulation with the John Jay College, where they focus on the data science. As you may know, that's a very popular and highly paid field. So moreover, our department also provides many research opportunities and also some cultural activities such as the CRISPs. So basically is the students will conduct research with the faculty. We also have the Pi Day event. So we invite the whole college to have some fun with the math activities. So right now we have about 10 publications, students working with our faculty. So we really welcome if you guys have interesting and talking with us. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Professor Chen. Professor Marks?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Christine Marks, and I'm here with Dr. Brown today. And we're very excited to introduce you to this brand new option, which is called Health Humanities. And this is really an interdisciplinary program. Dr. Brown is from health science, I'm from English. There were people from social sciences involved and the humanities. And the basic idea is just that we think in order to really understand health and illness and health care, we have to look at this not just from a purely biological perspective, but really consider like the full human experience. And what that means is we're considering how these experiences are shaped by things like gender and race and our historical environment and cultural environment and religious belief systems, the technologies that we're surrounded with. And so we're trying to give you like a broad introduction and a foundation for you to go into different fields of expertise afterwards in healthcare related professions.
And included in the new health humanities option, which will begin in fall 2023. We're excited to also have an additional course that will be added in global pandemics. And this particular course will look at these same concerns and discipline areas that Professor Marks has mentioned, that will track through time various plagues throughout history and understand both the political, social, historical, and biological and public and community health implications that have led up through today, and considerations of how and what ways we can be preventative of these concerns faced by future pandemics and global concerns. Along with that, we have also worked hard on the development of articulations. And as a function of those, the School of Professional Studies is certainly one where we have an articulation. We are also New York Institute for Technology as well. And one that is also currently under development is with Queens College in their urban studies program there.
Thank you, Professor Brown and Professor Marks. Professor Baksh? No, we're doing two. And then,
Oh, sorry. Hello, everyone. My name is Professor Baksh. I am representing the Women, Gender, and Sexuality option. It's a pretty new option at the college. In this option, you look at things like gender, sexuality, race, nationality, age, access, and we think about how these things intersect with inequality, oppression. We looked at activism and movements in the US and globally, and how groups of people have fought to gain rights in the country. And so we look at things like, so for example, in the news right now, Roe versus Wade is something that's really important. We look at how those, that case became really important for reproductive justice rights. You learn about things like the workplace, like sexual harassment, right? Laws around that, racial discrimination.
So WGS really is important for almost any career that you go into. Students who study WGS at LaGuardia can go on to Hunter. We have an articulation agreement with them. They explore careers in social work, domestic violence, nonprofits, politics, education. They become lawyers. There's so many different things that you can do. You can work in public health even. So for example, one of the things that research shows is Black women have a higher mortality rate than white women when they in childbirth, right? So with a WGS lens, that's something that becomes apparent even in health, right? So if you want to learn more, we have a great class that you could take, LIB 101. The flyers in the back. It's Intro to Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies. It's being offered on Thursdays next semester. It's a hybrid course, meaning once a week, and you do work on your own for the rest of the week. What's really great is you don't have to be a WGS major to take this class. You could take it as part of your flexible core. It'll be an individual and society course. Or it could be taken as an elective if you don't need that category. So I encourage you to check out the class, check out the major. I have brochures in the back. And one of the things that WGS really helps us to understand not only how these structures operate in society, but also how we ourselves, right, are shaped by these, by race, sexuality, and how our experiences are shaped by these things. So we get a chance to kind of explore that as well.
Thank you so much, Professor Baksh. I know you guys hear the word articulation a lot. In case you're wondering what that is, it's basically a transfer agreement. So these programs, many of them have transfer agreements with other colleges. So when you finish the program here at LaGuardia, you can easily transfer to the college that they have an agreement with. You don't have to transfer to that college, but it just makes the path, it's an easier pathway if you choose that. So when you hear the word articulation, just think transfer. That's what that means. Okay, so we're going online. Who would like to go? We have, yes? Mm-hmm.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bijoyeta Das, and I'm the program director for journalism, which is housed within the English department. And prior to coming to LaGuardia to teach, I was working as a journalist, and I traveled and worked in Asia and Africa. So I can tell you that journalism is a fun career choice. It gives you a chance to be around the world, listening to people's stories, traveling with a purpose, and getting someone else to pay for your travel. So all of that comes with being part of a journalism career. However, the beautiful thing about journalism is that it's a skill and it is transferable. You'll never be stuck to one career. You will have so many options. You learn very core skills such as writing, research, reporting, social media, communications, public relations, marketing, management, and teaching too. So all of the skills are something that you develop over time, you polish, and you keep growing. So if you choose journalism at this one point, on one hand, you learn the skill to write and report for newspapers, online media, etc. But you can also keep growing in the field of communications and develop different skills. One of the beautiful things about doing journalism at LaGuardia is that you also get practical experience. We have a course called English 288, where you work as an intern for the college newspaper, The Bridge, in the spring semester. And in the fall semester, you work with Snaps Media, which is a local media outlet, and there are about 60 media newspapers in the tri-state area, and you can intern with them and get clips and get real-world experience. In addition to that, we also have 2 articulation agreements, meaning you can automatically transfer to Brooklyn College and York College. And in the future, we are working on articulation agreements with other colleges within the CUNY system. So I encourage you to explore this option, write to me with any questions. Now you can ask me any questions. You can also email me at any time. So good luck.
Thank you, Professor Dodd. Professor Collins?
Hello, everyone. My name is Professor Collins. I'm the director of the Deaf Studies program. In addition, I'm the temporary coordinator for the ASL English Interpreting program. I'm going to go ahead and share a short video with you, which explains all about our deaf studies program and everything that goes on here at LaGuardia as a whole in connection with the deaf community as well. So bear with me for 1 second while I set up the video.
LaGuardia Community College has a 44-year history of serving the deaf community here in New York City. The Deaf Studies program is one of 3 long-standing entities associated with the deaf community on campus. The program for deaf adults, which serves the deaf students here at the college, the ASL English Interpreting Program, and nationally recognized Sign Language Interpreter Training Program, and finally the Deaf Studies program, which prepares students to work with the deaf community as sign language interpreters, educators of the deaf, speech-language pathologists, audiologists, and social workers. We are the only deaf studies program within the CUNY system. In fact, we're the only deaf studies program in all of New York City. We're also the only program in New York City, Westchester, and Nassau counties to offer sign language linguistics, which explains why our students come from Staten Island, Mahopac, and the Hamptons just to take our courses. ASL is the second most popular language on campus with about 175 students, 75 of which are deaf studies majors. Our graduates have gone on to become sign language interpreters in local schools and hospitals. Several graduates work as educators in local schools for the deaf. In fact, one graduate now teaches police officers sign language and another interprets Broadway shows. Our program may be small, but the impact our graduates have on the deaf community here in New York City is huge.
So that's just a brief summary of our programs here. I'm happy to hear any questions later after our presentations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Collins.
You can go. You can go.
I'll be very short and then we'll do ethnic studies. I'm the program director of international studies. If you're interested in culture, identity, language, these are the kinds of courses that are offered. The students that join the program are usually interested in jobs working with the United Nations, UNICEF, USAID, some of them New York City Human Rights Department, Amnesty International. Those that are U.S. citizens are interested in working for the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services or Homeland Security or Foreign Service officers. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, I have a program handbook at the table in the back that you can have a look at the courses. And if these are courses that you think you would find interesting, then we would love to have you in the International Studies program.
Hi, my name is Tomonori Nagano. I'm the director of Japanese Studies, Japanese option, LaGuardia. How many of you played games or enjoy anime or read comics? How many people are still enjoying it? So most of the students in our program come with some interest in those things like anime, games, and video games, and manga. Our goal is to connect their interests and students' future careers. So somehow, most of our graduates find some way to make livings out of what they're interested. So not everybody ends up in anime and manga, but they often end up teaching or working at the Japanese corporates or even working art and culture. So they do actually translate into it. So that's who we are. And if you're interested, we have a club, Japan Entertainment Club. That's where lots of students in our options meet. So the club meets on Wednesday. If you're interested, I think that's a great place to start.
And we have one last option, ethnic studies. Professor Baksh, you wanted to say
We
something?
also have history. History too,
Is history here?
but missing. Absent.
History is not here.
Absent.
Yeah. Ethnic studies.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the ethnic studies program. I'm not the program director, but it is part of my department, and it's a very new major. And so I also helped in the beginning to shape it. So I wanted to make sure that you all know about this new major. I'm just going to read a little from the brochure. The brochure is also in the back. Ethnic studies, the critical interdisciplinary study of race and ethnicity, came into being in the 1960s. No, sorry. An outcome of the civil rights movement, the efforts of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and demands of students across the country. Today, ethnic studies continues to be relevant because it provides a multidisciplinary and intersectional lens to examine the role and impact of matters related to categories such as race, ethnicity, class, gender, legal status, and sexual orientation. An ethnic studies option at LaGuardia will provide an opportunity for you to become part of the growing national and international body of students, scholars, and policymakers who focus on the systematic implications and outcomes of particular local, national, global forces on race and ethnicity. So again, there's an intro class to this major, so you don't have to be an ethnic studies major to take the class. It's a great way to just see what the major is about. And even if you don't become an ethnic studies major, the class still counts towards your degree. It's called LIB 105, Intro to Ethnic Studies, and it'll be offered for the first time in fall 2023. In ethnic studies, as a major, you can take classes in English, ELA, Humanities, and social science. So you're really getting a really well-rounded education. You have a lot of choices within those different departments of what you want to take and how to build your program.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry for the mumbling. I just I'm using somebody else's computer. We just need to share that. So before we go to no. He's sitting up here. I just want to show you, if you are interested in adding an option, there's a form online, slideshow, current slide, and advanced threat protection, skip verification. Okay, skipping verification. Okay. This is the form, and it's called. It's not sharing.
You're sharing wrong one. Yeah.
Okay. Can you do it? So the form says change of major or concentration, but in your case, you're not actually changing your major, right? You're staying in liberal arts, you're just adding a concentration, which we call option.
But you still my computer.
I didn't do anything. I was just trying to share. Okay, there it is. Okay, it's there. Just don't make it bigger. It's there.
No, you're not sharing yet.
Okay. All right, maybe we will do the. Okay. All right. So let me just show you on this form. You see here where it says select your current major. You click on that, and you're going to get a drop-down menu. Right now, you guys are in liberal arts general studies. Do you see this? Do you see that one? That says liberal arts general studies. That's what you're in now. If you want to add an option that you're interested in, you find that option and you click on, so first you click on that because that's what you're in now, right? So general liberal arts. And then here it says new major or new concentration. You click on that. And then let's say you're interested in liberal arts, here's Japanese, right? You see, it says liberal arts, you're still in liberal arts, you're not moving from liberal arts, you're just adding Japanese, right? And you click there. You're gonna click on whatever you're interested in, if it's academic studies, if it's TESOL, whatever it is that you're interested in. You actually, for liberal arts, you don't actually need the signature of the program director. You can actually just submit it to the registrars. There are some majors that you need the signature. So if you find that you're interested in one of the options here, this is what you do. You go to the LaGuardia's change of major or concentration form, and that's what you do. Okay, so I just wanted to do that before we go to question and answer. So now we can open it up to any questions that you have for any of the program directors here?
I have a question. For the health and humanities major, what might be a job, let's say, that somebody could transfer that knowledge to?
Yeah, I think the idea is that this is actually kind of a trend in undergrad education now that we have more health and medical humanities in undergrad studies, and that people then specialize and go into different healthcare related fields. In the beginning, this was more like something that people who are already doctors or nurses would get as an additional qualification. So they would show that they have that kind of human understanding as well. So we're thinking, why not just create the foundation first, and then people can go into social work or clinical health or also public health. And actually, Dr. Brown can probably talk about that more, but yeah.
And certainly from there, with this foundation, because, for example, the health related fields are so interdisciplinary and applied in their nature, especially those that may also gravitate into clinical based or allied health related fields. It's become so much of a foundation in where students may go and people in these careers. So you could go into areas even such as health communications. You could go into the direction of, also like in the past, we've worked closely in coming from narrative medicine, right, as a central space of this, where you can move into doing research related training and work within nonprofit organizations, healthcare systems, even not to take away from journalism, but even in going into the direction of health journalism, specific as a component down the road for some as well.
I have a question for Professor Das. You mentioned internships. Are those paid internships for students?
No,
Okay.
but you get paid with experience and a lot of adventures.
And so it's like field work that's part of the class. So they'll take a journalism class, and part of the requirements is to do some field work.
Yes, so it's a 3-credit class. It's specifically English 288 that's offered in the spring and fall. In the spring, you would work with me or another professor, where you would be as a class working on producing the college newspaper. So we will have weekly classes, but the purpose of the class is to actually work and produce the newspaper, do reporting around the college campus. In the fall, you will work as an intern with the media outlets. You can either do it remotely or in person, and it's evolving as we move forward. And in that, you will get experience by working directly under the editor as part of a team, going out and reporting, shadowing some of the editors, photographers, reporters, etc. So it's going to be in person, like very hands-on, real experience that you're going to get in both of these internships. And you get 3 credits and recommendation letters.
I have a question.
Okay.
It's actually for you. Because you mentioned liberal arts and math and science at the beginning. Do I have to take science class with that one?
Professor Chen?
Actually, if I may, the degree is liberal arts, social sciences, social
They
science.
take math and science.
Oh, that's a different one.
Yeah, Professor Chen is representing the liberal arts, math and sciences degree. So the question is, does he have to take science as well as math? If he
Yes,
wants
they
to.
do need to take a certain science courses.
I'm not good at science.
I don't want to terrify you guys, but they do in the liberal arts and math science, you do need to take some science courses or math courses. It's not on top of my head, but something like the physics, something either physics or chemistry or math. So in the core requirement.
Amy, you can't divorce the science part, I think.
Give yourself a chance.
That's why.
But in every liberal arts track, you have to take at least one science course.
In the
Everyone.
Yeah.
Every track required.
And biology, and I'm struggling.
But at least you're already doing.
You're trying. No, I have a question for you. Are you a Japanese translator? Do you translate manga or anime?
I myself do not translate or interpret, but I was invited by at one point I was invited by the New York State court to help someone who needed help in the sign language, not sign language, I'm sorry, not sign language, interpretation of the court. So actually many languages like Latin American studies, always translation, interpretations, you can find lots of jobs. It may not become your main job, but there are lots of freelance jobs and lots of jobs actually available on Twitter. So if you are have a profile on Twitter as a bilingual, they just ask you to just, are you available tomorrow? I pay you $300 for that.
Can I just add something? So I didn't mention that political science has a transfer agreement with Hunter College. So some of my students stay within the CUNY system and others go to private university. That's a personal call for you. But I myself went to Queens College. I went through the political science department there, and I can warmly recommend Queens College if you're interested in political science, if you want to stay within the CUNY system. And, in terms of, I think I forgot to mention jobs that you can get as a political scientist, they very much vary. You can work directly in political affairs. You can work for a politician. You can work on a campaign. You can also work at the United Nations if you're interested in global politics, or an international nonprofit organization like Amnesty International, to name some of the more famous ones. But hopefully that helps you. And again, if you have any questions for me or any of the panelists, we're here.
So I'm asking a question now on behalf of students who might not have thought about this, or maybe you have and you don't want to ask. So let's say I take the ethnic studies option, and at the end of it, I say, well, I don't want to transfer into specifically an ethnic studies field. What happens to me then?
I guess that question is for me. Yeah. Oh, it depends, right, where you're transferring to, right? And what kind of program you decide you want to go into, right? Because if you transfer into another CUNY school, because we have something called pathways, the CUNY school will take 30 credits. That's your required core and your flexible core class, right? Classes. In the program core, which is where you would actually take the ethnic studies courses, right? The school might sort of decide the CUNY might decide which ones apply to the new program that you're going to go into, right? If you go to a private school, then and you're doing a different major, not ethnic studies, private schools can kind of do what they want, right? They will most likely take some of your credits, but there might be some credits that they don't take, right? And each school is different.
But I think that that's true for any degree. If you're gonna transfer, they can pick and choose. But liberal arts, I think the advantage of liberal arts is that it really keeps all your doors open, right? It's really telling the other college that these are the first 2 years of your college experience. You're not really sure 100% what you want to do. And so you're taking different courses. And if you have a concentration, it's a way of exploring. Well, I want to look into ethnic studies. I want to look into TESOL. I haven't decided yet that that's what I want to do. If you do decide you want to stay with the concentration and make it a major when you transfer, that's great, because we have so many articulation agreements, transfer agreements, that it would make the transfer so easy for you. But if you decide, I did an international studies concentration, but I think I want to go into journalism for senior college. That's okay too, because you have a liberal arts degree, right? So a liberal arts degree is it leaves, in my opinion, it leaves the doors open in terms of flexibility. So you're using these 2 years to really explore before you focus and hone in on the major you want to pursue in your final 2 years.
I have a question. You said that they pick and choose and they're going to get the 30 general education credit. No, I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
So then what happens with the other 30 credits?
So, okay, so each school is different, and so if you go to a school that has an articulation agreement,
Yeah, that's
according in that,
CUNY.
then if you go to the same program that has an articulation agreement, they actually take all the credit, right? So like WGS has an articulation with Hunter. If you meet the requirements, Hunter will take the 60 credits, and then you will continue in WGS. If you change your major, right, that's when things might be a little different, right? And that's when they'll take 30 credits, it's CUNY, because those are the pathways credits. And then with the other credits, and maybe pick and choose is not the right word, the phrasing, but they may not take all of them, of the additional 30.
So we have to do 90.
Well,
I thought CUNY was required to take.
the reason why I wanted to start this discussion was to say, our liberal arts degrees, all your courses are liberal arts courses. This is important. Because of how bachelor's degrees are structured, you will find that when you transfer to a 4-year program, you have plenty of space for what the program will call elective credits. And so any liberal arts course that you have taken here, even if it doesn't apply directly to your program, it can apply to the elective part of your degree. So you never lose those credits. You never lose them. CUNY, any CUNY 4-year is required to take all 60 of the credits from your associate's degree. The only thing that will be different is where they are applied. So if you transfer seamlessly into the same program, all your program core credits from LaGuardia transfers to the program there, depending on how we've negotiated. But let's say I did ethnic studies, but I've decided I want to do something different. I'm going to go into business or political science. I've decided that I got a little taste of political science in my ethnic studies courses, and I've decided this is what I really want to do. Maybe all those ethnic studies courses don't fit into the political science core, but they will fit into the elective part of your degree. So you won't lose any credits. So one of the things I wanted to emphasize by asking that question is that choosing an option doesn't lock you into having to pursue that same exact field when you transfer. It just broadens your horizons, exposes you to more things, prepares you to be successful in whatever you choose when you get to your 4-year degree. And you won't lose any credits because these are liberal arts credits, and there will always be a place for them in your 4-year degree.
And I just want to add, like with regards to private schools, they pick and choose even if you're coming from a private school.
Yeah.
It's not specific to CUNY.
I have a question. So to get a concentration, you say we don't want to get credits, right?
No, you to get
Oh,
credits.
we get
They're not extra credits.
Oh,
You don't have to pay for more credits. Your associate degree is 60 credits. Whether you have an option, a concentration, or you just do the general liberal arts, it's 60 credits. The only thing that the concentration does, or the option, is it's saying that this student is showing an interest in this area. So they're taking a couple of courses in this area because, they're interested in Japanese or TESOL or political science. But you don't, there's no, did I answer your question?
Okay, thank you.
I think if I may add, it actually allows students to maybe articulate what they are interested in a little bit more strongly when they have to write an application letter to the senior college and say, this is who I am, and I have a concentration, which means this is what I'm pursuing. And sometimes students have this difficulty articulating what it is that interests them. And when you have that concentration, it's kind of given.
It's an extra thing to add on your resume. You have an associate degree in the liberal arts and a concentration in something. And then you go on to your bachelor's, and then it could be the same thing or it could be something else, right? The more you can add to, I sound very American, very materialistic, but the more you can add to that resume, the more flexible and valuable.
For example, in Latin American studies, how many courses?
Same, 60 credits.
Professor Hernandez. It's all 60.
Yes, so all programs have 60 credits, and in Latin American studies, the credits are divided amongst 30 areas. You have the Humanities department, where you take art, film, theater, what you choose. The Social Science department, where you can take history and anthropology, and the Modern Language department, where you take the literature courses, and you can take the courses in Spanish, you can take them in English. We have some that are offered in English, such as Latin American literature in translation. But it is recommended, if you're going to go in the field, that you have language skills at the 200 level or develop them. Because if you're going to be a front person for film festivals, and I was just at the film festival. It's fascinating. You meet all these directors, actors, etc. And actually, the director of the festival is not a filmmaker herself. You just have to know the field of the arts and develop those interpersonal relationships. And this is why we have, because Latin American studies, as I said, it's usually, for a long time, it was just social science and literature. And over the past 20 years, 25 years, it has grown to include film, art, and music, because this way you include the voices of peoples who did not have a written literature. And by the way, they do have a written literature, but it wasn't considered writing. That's another development in the field. The Aztecs and the Incas did have a writing system as well. So the field is growing, and the film in Latin America is the big story, art has been so since Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo. And music, I don't have to tell you, music since New Orleans and ragtime, you have the Latin American artists and the American art. In fact, Latin America and the United States have a long, long history of shared arts and shared history. And this is what we do because there is a lot of interest in the field right now.
Great, thank you. Thank you. We don't have a lot of time left. Our time is up. Maybe one last quick question, if anybody wants to. No? Okay, we will send, if we can, send to you the link to the form and also maybe a link to the options webpage. We have a webpage with the options. And so that way, if you could share it with the students, you can look at the options at your leisure, reach out to the program director, maybe send an email if you're interested, or if you've already decided, hey, this is an option I'm really interested in, you could just go ahead and fill out the form and submit it via email. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome. Good night.